Hi everybody, Shawn back from the Sci-Fi Model Guy, and welcome to Chapter 7 of the full build series of the NCC-1701-C Enterprise. And before we go any further, folks, full disclosure is I'm going to have to do the light blocking on the top part of the saucer section again. I've got some really bad light leaks here. You can't really tell from here, but when I go ahead and turn off the lights here, you can really see some horrible light leaking here, and I'm frankly shocked. I'm disappointed because we had really gone and put quite a bit of light blocking on the inside of the ship with black and then white, and then on the outside black as well. But I'm gonna have to do a little bit more. So if you're doing this along with me, I want to give you a heads up that you may have to do some more light blocking on the outside. So go ahead and really test that. Make sure you get everything locked down, because all that masking that you're about to see in this video, I'm going to have to redo. It's not hard. It's just time consuming, and it uses a lot of tape. So, but with that being said, the techniques are sound, and go ahead and watch this. You're going to see all the things you need to do to learn. And on the next video, I'll show you the final results of this, and we'll get that light blocking fixed. So in this video, there's that, and then you get to see finally figured out what I had done to the navigation board. It did indeed fry. You see that correction, and then with that, the end of this video does kind of just end abruptly. I say I'll be right back, and I don't, because it just ran it kind of into that nice stopping point. So I decided to stop the video. That's about it, folks. Other than that, if you are enjoying this series and you're enjoying the channel, please go ahead and give a subscription to the channel. We would really appreciate it and help us out. And go ahead and drop a like and a comment if you'd like to. Let me know how you're liking things, if you'd like to see something else, or just whatever your thoughts are. Anyway, thanks for your attention, everyone. Really appreciate it. We'll see you down the road, and happy modeling. All right, folks. Cracked it open here. I'm pretty disappointed, I gotta be perfectly honest with you. You probably can tell, but that's okay. We persevere. So anyway, when I opened it up, I could smell some burning circuitry. So I'm pretty sure that I fried the the board here. So instead of unclipping all this and doing all that, I see here that this is actually a plug. So I'm actually going to try to remove this from this one with some tweezers that I have here somewhere. Let's see. Excuse me. I'm filming this real time, folks, so you can kind of see how I'm dealing with that. So I didn't even grab my little tweezers yet. Let me try this. Make sure I've got this unplugged and turned off. So I'm just going to use this little tool here to kind of help pry this little guy out. So what I'm hoping is that the wires are fine. And if that's the case, then I think this looks like it will just right unplug. There we go. See? Yeah, so that plugs. So what I'm going to do, I've got a new board here. I just want to make sure that I match the jumper setting. So I have 2 jumpers here on the new one and only 1 on this one. And it's the second one there. I'll take that off. So there's the jumper, matches that, and we'll take the plug, the wires off of the new one, like that. Set that aside, and we'll get the wires from this one and put them in here. I think I put that on there. You know what I'm going to do? I didn't look and see the orientation. I'm pretty sure I did. So I'm going to stop this tape. I'm going to go back and look at the rewind and see how it was. Actually, no, I don't need to do that. See, this is a little frazzled right now, obviously, so I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm going to get this other... I'm going to get another board. I have several of the boards. I order them in bulk. Kind of get 5 at a time. It's a little cheaper. Okay. White on the left. White on... Okay, yeah, I put it on correctly. Probably wouldn't have plugged in the incorrect way. And most of the time, things like the circuit boards are built so that they can only be plugged in one way. It's a kind of a safety feature in a lot of electronics, but I don't want to assume. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. All right, so we've got the what we think is a bad board out. Now, it did work, but okay. Okay. Whew. All right, so plugged it in. That's fine. Let's turn it on. And there we go. We've got flashing. Flashing there. Flashing there. Okay, it was the board that I fried. Yikes. Well, you know, I'm glad I caught it. Let's just say that. Now let's just say what happens. I just want to make sure again that I've got this right, the right one flagged here. So I've got the other ground wire plugged in. So this is how I can tell I've got it crossed. So the ground wire I have plugged in, this is the one coming out of the circuit board. And you can see it's causing all the lights to flicker and do the flash. So I knew I had the right one. So we'll re-tag this one with a fresh piece of tape. Okay. And this is the other one. Now, I did notice here, a lot of this got melted on there. So I think what I'm going to do before all this is in, I will cut this off and solder on a new piece of wire here, you know, with shrink tubing, of course, but just to make sure, because when it comes to the neck, I don't want any of these, you know, this one melted as well a little bit. So I'll make sure to get fresh ones on there. But for now, it's okay. I don't need to have it perfect yet because we're not assembling this part. So what I'm going to do is what we did with the original Enterprise when I had that adventure. And that is, sorry about this, I'm just thinking. So I got to get the hot glue gun out and reattach this board. That's job one. And then go through and just kind of sand this down, get all the putty that I had put down that kind of came down, clean that up, glue it down again, retape it, wait another day, and then come and re-putty and do all that stuff. So yeah, a little bit of a delay, 12 hours, maybe 24-hour delay on the model, but that's okay. Okay, folks, I'm gonna call it a night here, and well, for the video, I'm gonna go through and clean this up and glue it. Gonna glue it down now, and then within 12 hours, maybe 18, come and do the putty work. So maybe just a loss of a day-ish or so, and I can still kind of come through and paint it up tomorrow. So anyway, thanks for being on this one with me. This is definitely going to be, hopefully, this model screw up. I guess maybe we're setting a trend where each kit, each build, will have its one thing that goes wrong. Hopefully only one. But anyway, hopefully it's making for good content. And if you all are learning something from this, then you know what? I will march on and call it a success. If someone out there is learning from this mistake of not being careful with my wires when I was looking at the model, they just touched and look what happened so quickly. So that's a good thing to see how things can go wrong very quickly and how easy it is to fry electronics. Not only that, but also if I hadn't have been here, I could have caused a fire. So the more you know, folks, the more you know. All right, with that, we're going to be signing off. Next time we come back, I will have this here painted, primed, and probably will have these bits primed and ready to and base color. So prime and base color, and we'll start masking off for these details here and underneath, which will be fun. And a lot of work. It's a difficult masking job, but it's well worth it when it comes done. Okay. All right, folks. I'm going to get to work. It's late now. I got a lot to work on, and we'll catch you on the flip side. See you soon. All right, folks. A little bit of an addendum here. So I cracked her open, put the board back on, and then I kind of had another thought. And that is similar to the last build series where I made the mistake and the model ended up being better. So basically, what I realized was, and this, of course, is something I probably should have thought of before. And the only thing I can say is that maybe just by because I'm talking while building this thing, kind of going ad lib, I suppose. I'm not scripted or anything. I kind of have an idea where I'm going with each of these segments, but they always take little left turns on me. I've failed to think about before of why I was getting those gaps where the light was, where the lights are. So remember where we were puttying. Let me get this lined up. I had put some putty on each of these sides here for each of the port and starboard light, and then the front nav light there, because there was that little bit of a gap. And I was thinking, I'm going to have to live with it. And then when I opened it, I realized that the upper part of the saucer section is the part that has the round holes where the pegs went. And I realized that's what is causing the rise and the bump, because these lights here on the lower part were touching the little holes here, and here's one of them. So there's nothing going in there, so I can leave that. So this here was causing the lights to press down. So I think of it this way. Sorry, a lot of cuts in this last segment and stuff. So my apologies. So I don't need this one. I don't have to worry about. So I realized I'm not using them. Why don't I shave them down or cut them off? So I brought the old Dremel and I found this nice bit here that's almost like a cutting disc. You can see that it's kind of flat there. And what I did was I just went kind of in here and I said on these three very carefully, and just started here and just kind of shaved these things down. And I could use if you have another bit that's just like the little grinders, that's fine. You don't need to go out and buy special things for this, but I happen to have it. Probably Andy would do, but this one was like a miniature sanding disc or cutting disc almost. So I just real carefully knurled these down, got them down. I was very careful not to get the paint of where I had masked before, or even cut into the light. I didn't want to destroy the light, so I was very, very cautious, very slow. But the cool thing is that now this sucker goes together nice and flush with no rises, no bumps. So I'm not going to have to do that deep putty work that I did previously. So I can sand all this down and get all that. So I'm going to glue this in. So you know, another example of things turning out fine. You know, I'm not going to say when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, but you know, it turned out for the best. So I learned something there, where next time if I do this kit, I can just cut those right off from the beginning and not worry about it, and then just continue to proceed. And those things are great, but I mean, the glue still holds the ship together. You don't need those pegs in there. They were just there to line it up. You can still line it up. You can still glue it together, and everything will be fine. So, yeah, I'm a little bit in a better mood now. Of course, you know, I would rather not have had to fry a board to do it. They're not free, these things, but I learned something, and again, hopefully you all did too, and it will maybe make some good content. You can see, oh, this is the screw up. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna clean these guys up a little bit more, and then glue her back together and let her sit overnight, and then check tomorrow for light leaks. So I'm going to glue it and do the taping, do a lot of taping like we'd shown before, and then turn it on, test the lights. Probably will have to putty a couple places. It won't be as much as before, and I won't have this like gnarly lip coming up and these little imperfections that I would know about. So, alrighty, that's the end of this one. I'm going to call it a night for this. Glue it up, and we'll be back with a painted model, and we'll get moving further on the project. Hey folks, welcome to the masking segment here. So we've got the saucer section here, the underside of it, and we've got a few tools out here. I've got my X-Acto knife, my little dental pick tool, a pencil, and some masking tape. So I do recall there's a comment someone had made. I guess there's a company called Aztec Dummies which sells masks for the ship to make for this, but I don't have them. And I do have, however, plenty of this blue masking tape. So we're going to go ahead and make our own masks. Now, I've taken the towel off of the mat, so you are going to need a hobby mat like this if you're going to do this method, because you're going to have to use your X-Acto knife and cut. And I want to take one notice here is just notice this square here is a little bigger than the saucer section, and that's perfect for our needs. So what we're going to do, the other very important tool is a handy $1.50 compass from Staples. You know, loosen that up a little bit so we can get it. So how do we make the mask? Well, we're going to lay down all the tape here, and we're going to basically cut out the section that we're going to paint for the saucer. So I'm going to bring out here the old model. Now the old model here is we're going to start with this ring here, this blue ring around there, and I've marked the panels on the new ship, kind of, you know, the first panel up here and the second panel down there where this ring starts. So we're going to use that as our guide. Put the little ship over there. And I'm glad I have this other ship as a guide, because otherwise I'd have to look at the instructions again. And it was easier just to use my little ship and count panels based on where these lifeboats are. Okay. So how do we do this? Well, we've got the center of the ship. So I'm going to put the compass center in there, and I'm going to measure out to this one. And to test to see if when I get this the correct length, let me turn it over here so I can see. I'm going to give it a test. I'm not going to touch it, but I'm just going to go around a little bit and make sure it is pretty much in there. Now, it's not going to be perfect because this part of the ship or this part is higher than down here. But we can get around that by some clever little methods, namely being that we're going to do this mask in several kind of sections and we lay it down. It's not going to be absolutely perfect. For example, if you had an absolute measured circle with tape and you can put that down, or an actual circle and you just cut around it, it's fine. But for this purpose, the compass works just fine. I used the compass for masking this guy. All of this work here was done with this method. And as you can see here, it did come out pretty nice. And this was a couple years ago. I'm pretty proud of that paint job. Even though I don't care for the colors anymore. But it's going to work. So the method to do that, let me just double check here. I had tried this earlier and I mismeasured. So, okay. Saucer section gets put away nicely. And I'm going to put the compass down, and now I'm going to lay down the tape. So I'm going to lay this down here. Now I want you to keep in mind, I'm doing it from the top to the bottom. And that's important, because when you lay this down, you're going to layer it so that you have about, I like to do about half. So half of my tape is actually layered. So I almost have like two layers of tape going on for the whole thing. And that ensures that I don't have any paint running through. It's a clean connection, and it makes it easier to cut this and actually peel it away from here. I also want to point out, I am not pressing down super hard on here. I'm just enough to get it to stick, because we want it to peel away from here with minimal effort. And when we peel this off, we're going to be peeling it off from top to bottom. So when we peel it off, it grabs all those layers with. If you peeled it from the side or from the bottom up, you'd only be taking the top layer. So I hope that makes some sense. Okay. Almost done. Now this is a tedious work. That's why this model kit is beautiful. I love the ship. It's my favorite ship. But making these masks and getting these paint colors the right way is very time consuming, and probably the least fun part of it. But it sure is nice when you take the final mask off and you've got that nice paint job with these nice rings on there. It really is nice. So I can see through here, and I can see the center is about there. I'm going to mark a little dot. I'm going to have to come back. I'm going to have to use this center twice, once to cut the outside circle and once to cut the inside one. So I'm going to have the compass start at the same spot. But if you don't have, if you can't see through your tape for some reason, one way to go is, as long as you know where your corners are and you have of your square, which underneath, which I'm glad, you can mark a corner there, corner, and then just draw a line from corner to corner that way and a corner to corner this way. You know, something like that, and then your center would be there. So I'm going there. Now this is the first one. This is the outside circle. So I'm just going ahead and drawing that. Right. I'm going to bring the saucer section back, loosen my compass a little bit, and then we're going to go and set the depth, or set the width for the inner circle. And that looks about right. I'm going to tighten it up and give it a little check. There we go. So I'm just pulling it around. I'm not letting it draw on there, but it's more or less staying in the right spot. Now I'm going to, I had dug a little hole in there, so dig there. And there's our inner circle. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to cut away. I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut. Let me move my light here. Let me make sure this, I don't know if the light itself is in the shot. So I apologize if the lighting's a little weird. I really need to see it because it's a kind of a dark tape. So I'm going to just take the X-Acto knife and without pressing too hard, but firmly, I'm going to go around there. And having this X here actually is helping me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my mat. I'm going to stand up. You're going to hear my chair move. And I'm going to go and cut this section. So when you're cutting this, it's okay to go in sections. Go slow as you need to go. You're not going to have a perfect circle, but it's going to be close enough. Okay. Okay, I'm going to finish cutting this on the inside and then the outside as well, and then it'll come right back. Okay, the cutting is all done now, and I'm going to go ahead and just take away the this circle here. So this inner part here, where the actual paint job, this is the waist. Comes off relatively easily. There we go. Looks good. Nice, two nice circles. A couple little flaws in there, but that's okay. So, and the other, when we're getting ready to put this down on the model, you want to do this in sections. Okay, so you don't want to try to pull this entire thing off as one big piece and lay it down. It's just going to wrinkle, and you're going to have a mess on your hands, and you're going to mess it up. So I'm just cutting this in sections. And right here, if you mess up there, no big deal. The inside here, you can, patch it up. Okay, so I've just cut this into the four corners, and when we peel these things back, it's like we were talking about before, you're going to peel them from the top down. So I'm just going to get this dental pick underneath there, and just kind of lift this off, and then hopefully this section will come off in one piece, and there it goes. Okay, so inner circle. So here is our panel that will be painted. I'm just lining up one of them, and then what I'm going to do is go around with my thumb. So I'm just, if you can do it the other way, of course. I'm going to pull it with my left hand and lay down with my right thumb. So as I'm pulling it, I'm keeping it tight like here, and then using the thumb to lay it down. And if I need to kind of adjust it, I lift it up a little bit, put my thumb down, lift it up a little bit, and then I can kind of guide it in a small way. So again, the circle is not going to be perfect. And if you need to cut it in smaller sections, that's fine. The more sections of this you have, the easier it will be to kind of make these little minor corrections. And this tape does stretch a little bit. It's a little forgive me. Now this part, I think I cut it weird. And now I'm switching hands. So now I'm pulling tight with my right hand. And laying down with my left thumb. Okay. And then when you're pushing the tape down, you don't want to, again, just like down here, you don't want to really press it onto your paint, because the more it sticks to this, the more likely it would be that you're going to take some paint with you when you take the mask off. There we go. So you see also it comes off so cleanly when you do these in sections. So now here I'm going to overlap it a little bit, which means we're going to get a little bit a section at the end that's not covered, and you end up having to kind of make a little bit of a little mask. I got some little hijacker here. Okay, now here is a part where I didn't cut it perfectly, so it's right here. I can see that, so I'm gonna have to come back and make a little mini mask correction. I think I just may have made this circle a wee bit small. That's okay. Like I said, this is about as accurate as I was on the other one, and you saw from the painting, you can barely tell. There's such minor inconsistencies. So to the beginners out there, and maybe even some intermediate people, when you're doing your models, you're going to see little flaws in your painting, in your masking, in your gluing. You're going to see these little flaws that aren't perfect. Don't dwell on them. It's just like with painting. Some people, when they start painting, they'll see a tiny little flaw in a flower or an eye of a bird or something like that, and it can consume you as an artist. Don't let it. These little imperfections are going to be there, and when the whole model is looked at and it's a finished product, only you are going to know that that's there. And you know, if you're a perfectionist, that's fine. Go ahead and make it perfect. But I can guarantee you the people that you're showing these models to aren't going to see it, and they're not going to care. They're going to say, wow, you did a really cool job there. Okay. All right, so you can see here, because I was really going tight on that circle, now I have this gap. That is to be expected, because I also overlapped this a little bit. So when you put these down, you want to overlap them slightly. You don't want them just butting against each other, because you will get paint in there. And so one thing I would definitely suggest is when you're done, you want to come back over the seams and give them just a second layer over here for good measure. Now you're not going to be painting on the tape, obviously, but there's a good chance some might find its way, because it will. The paint will find a way into those crevices and those gaps, as small as they are. And then you're going to see this little line of different colored paint on your model. It's going to drive you nuts. Okay. So there we go. I'm going to cut a little piece of this little section here. I'm just going to take a strip. And again, you can kind of guide this tape, the way I was doing before. So I'm putting my thumb down, laying it down, and then using my other hand to guide it. And for small sections like this is fine. Just to get these little areas here. Cut that off. And if you need to kind of nudge it, you got your pick. Careful not to scrape the paint. Okay. If you have other tape, like I do have some here, it's just old. It's a lot more, you're able to curve it a lot better than this stuff. But this is just a couple of areas, so I'm not concerning myself with it too much. So here I'm just using my nail. I got this nasty little bit there. See, now this is where that perfectionist thing can get you in a little bit of trouble. Because I'm seeing some little flaws, but I think they're big enough that I do need to correct them. So I'm just going to cut off some just small pieces of tape. You could probably see it right here. I'm not in a hurry. I am, but I'm not. Hopefully that makes a little sense to you. Okay. I'll just plug this hole. Alright, good enough. And then this area here I'm not worried about, because that's where the neck connects. So I'm just going to give it a little once over here. I do see one area right there that I need to fill in. So I'm just going to cut a little bit. All right, lovely. No, still don't like it. Still seeing a pretty glaring gap there. All right. That suits me. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this section here, and I'm going to wrap. I made this. It's bigger, and I'm going to wrap it around the other side so we get full coverage there. So I'm going to pause that. I'll come back when this is all masked, and then we will finish talking about this segment and actually paint this guy here, and then get the mask off and take a look and see what she looks like. Be right back. All right, well, it's only a few minutes later here, and I've gone ahead and put that secondary mask on, and I went over and gave it a paint, took care of it, and it wasn't maybe about 5-10 minutes since we last spoke here. This second layer on the outside went on a lot faster. So I'm just, I painted it, and I gave the model a quick shot with the hairdryer. Oh, it looks like I missed a little nugget there. Well, that's okay. A little tape covered it there. So I'm just going to take off the mask so we can revel in our handiwork, minus the snafu there. And the paint's probably dry to the touch, but I'm being careful not to touch it at all because I could get a fingerprint on there, and that is just the worst. And if you're noticing a little difference in the audio quality here, unfortunately, I had to unplug the microphone because the phone was at 5% power. And I needed to keep this sucker charged. So I am this part here. I am rushing a little bit because I want to get the mask off and show you, so we can wrap up this segment. However, it's probably not a good idea to leave your tape on for too long, as I mentioned, because it could become really adhered to the paint underneath it and will come off when you take the mask off. But the Tamiya paint, which is what I've used in this kit, holds up pretty well. I really like the paint. It sprays on so nice and evenly. You get pretty good coverage out of it. The cans last relatively long, and it masks well. Meaning the tape won't pull it off. Like once it's on, it's on there. Okay, now taking a look at this, I probably could have given it a second coat, but I'm not going to on this bottom part. I'll make sure to give 2 coats on the rest of it. But since I've already pulled the mask off, it would be kind of fruitless to do it at this point because I wouldn't get it perfectly aligned, and you'd end up seeing some parts of it heavier than others. So that's okay. Little lesson learned there. I was just kind of in a hurry for the segment, which goes to show you don't rush yet. If I was doing this over again, or the next time I do this kit, I will remember that. And of course, with the other layers we've got a lot more of these to do. I'm not going to film all of them, of course, but we got a lot more of those to do. So they're all going to be done in a similar vein. So here's the finished product. I went with the light blue. I think we covered the colors there. So this is the Tamiya AS5 light blue there, and then we're going to use a darker gray, or a darker color rather, for here. So there's another one there. I think it was going to be this guy here, light gray, or there's another one. I'd have to go there. I don't want to sit here and guess. But there's gonna be, so we're gonna have a second circle here, which butts right up against this one, then a gap of the base color, and then another layer of the one here. And there is this light rings here. I may do those. I may not. I think on this one you can see it kind of didn't come out too well. We'll see. I may end up doing it. But yeah, that's kind of it, folks. I just want to give you a good basic overview of the of the masking and how we do it. So now the top, of course, is going to be different because you got a little bit more of a weird design here. And it's essentially the same. We just got to take, once we lay it down, we'll use the X-Acto knife and we'll cut that. So I think I'll record a little bit here to show you how I'm doing it, give you an idea. But this is it. I'm happy with it. It's a nice neutral blue. It's there. It's present, but it's not in your face like that other one. And I think I like this better than the way it was. Let me bring it back over here and we'll turn it upside down. So this is a much more subtle gray that is kind of harder to see. I do like it much better. And then once we get these escape pods painted in there, I think it will really look sharp. You can see here where I did put my pencil marks. So that is a lesson I'm going to learn to get that off a little better. I was probably thinking I was going to put more tape on there. So yeah, just rehashing here what I've learned on this segment. And so I did learn some, made a couple of small mistakes, but overall, I think this is looking good. Hopefully you do too. And we will be back with the next segment. Don't know what it'll be. I'm probably going to go ahead and paint the rest of the inside here. The technique, of course, even if I do these little rings there, the technique is exactly the same. Another thing to point out, we're just going to start from the outside in. Do the outside circles and then do it inward so you don't have to keep masking over what you did. Now, with that though, I will have to mask over this because this next color here butts right up against it. So I'm going to have to mask over that. That's not a problem though. But we'll be able. I just got to make sure and let this dry. So I'm going to go put this over where the paint station is. Turn on the fan, turn off the lights, go to bed, and then tomorrow I may tackle that part, or I might start on the top. And there's also plenty of masking to do for the sides and the tail fin and all kinds of masking on this kit, everybody. So. Fear not, we'll go over each step. If we're not going to record every second of it, but we'll go over here and make sure we document how we're masking and show you the results. So, all right, guys, moving along. The fun part has begun with the actual painting of the model. So we will see you in the next segment or the next video. I'm not sure which. See you soon. All right, guys, I've got a lot of the painting done here, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about masking. So I'm going to bring in the old model here. I'm going to be masking here this top part, and as you can see, there's quite an intricate little design there. So as I started going through it, I did realize that I actually needed this, this tape. You know, of course, we're going to use some of the thicker and wider masking tape, but this stuff here, as you can see here, see how it's curving. This stuff can be laid down to curve. These ones really can't. You'd have to, I mean, you can kind of curve these things, but it needs a very wide, you know, large curve, not a tight curve like this. So as you can see here, I've laid down some of the tape, and I want you to take notice of something here. You see how these strips go tail straight out here a little bit. And the reason for that is because to get this long piece all the way around, when you do that, the tape tends to start to peel away from it. So better to do is you do a slight little curve and then straighten it out. And then this straight bit here and this straight part here will hold it down much better. So you can see here I did one this way. See how they tail off. So just a little tip there. And yeah, that's basically it. So I'm going to show you kind of the technique real quick here. I'm not going to mask this whole piece on this segment. So right now I'm going to mask this little part here where it's supposed to curve. So I have a little bit of a where this green is making a V, it needs to curve around here. So I'm going to do that part, and then we'll do another part, a larger part here on this segment, just to demonstrate the masking technique that I'm using. So I'm right now just kind of measuring about how much I need. It's also good when you're cutting this stuff, you're going to use this type of tape, get some scissors to cut this. You don't want to pull it and stretch it or use your teeth or anything. You want to get a nice clean snip. So what I'm doing here is I'm pulling with my left hand, and I'm laying down with my forefinger on the right hand. And hopefully I didn't cut this too long. A little bit. Let me just give this a little snip off. And there we go. And then with this tape, you can press a little more firmly with your finger. It's not sticky really at all. It's not as sticky as this kind of tape. So you can put a little bit more pressure down to get it to hold, and you won't have to worry about pulling paint off. Okay, so the next section is here so the phaser array, and then we're going to go one panel underneath, and I'll bring in the old model to show. We're going to be doing this bottom part here, and what I'm doing is I'm using the lifeboats as guides and then seeing how many full panels to do. That part you'll probably figure out intuitively. So so this one here, I'm not going to snip it off yet. I'm just going to use the roll, kind of pulling it, and hopefully I'm in camera here. And the good thing about this, one of the good qualities of this tape is you can lift it up a little bit and reapply it. But if you can see here, it's really curving nicely around. So I've laid it down, and I'm going to extend it out a little bit further here to make my cut. So again, going with that straight part. So you can see it's already pulling upward. So if I finish it off with a nice straight line, that will kind of hold the curve down. And you can see here it's just starting to pull away, but I'm going to put some more tape on there to hold it. Yeah, so that's it. I'm gonna go around here and finish this part here, double check everything, and then mask the inside here and mask the top of the bridge. There's a lot to mask here, as we were talking about with this ship. So this is going to be quite a masking job. What I'll do is once I'm done, I will come back and just show you the final masking, and then I'm going to paint it. And then after that, we'll show where we are. Pretty much the rest of the ship is painted and masked, and I'm going to just show that in one go. The underneath of the saucer here is painted, and it came out really nice. I'm really excited to show that part. So I just wanted to show this little masking part here, and I'm going to come back and show you the finished product, how it looks after it's all masked, and then I'll go and paint it. So in case if you're new to masking, I just wanted to show these little techniques here. Okay, we'll see you soon with a masked product, and then on to finished painting. Alrighty, everyone, here we are with the finished masking job of the upper saucer section here, and everything went pretty good. All in all, this top section took probably about an hour total time to do, give or take, and I was really glad that I had the white tape here to make the curves. Now, as opposed to the bottom section where I had made the tape masks and cut the circles and stuff, that was fine because there wasn't any intricate angles or anything on here. But for this case, it's a lot more detailed. Not to mention the fact that we have to cut, we're going to be painting the BSC deck or the bridge section, but masking the top. So it's very irregular shape. So that's why I went with the the skinnier tape there. And I really am glad I had some on hand, because now that I'm doing this, I realize that this tape is pretty much essential. I don't know if I'd be able to do this without having a tape that could be curved in such a way. The other little tip or hint that I'm going to share here with you that I remembered along the way was when you're making these curves, obviously it's not going to be perfect, and to keep it from looking like a stop sign, for better lack of a better word, or something with a lot of edges to it, what I did was after a couple minutes I remembered. So when I'm pulling it, I use my finger to lay it down, and I think of it as laying down one panel at a time. So I went very, very slow, and I laid down the panel and then moved it and laid down the panel with my finger, and I went very, very slow all the way around, and it turned out to be a nicer curve. And I think we're going to be happy with the results here. So I'm going to take it over there to the paint station of the garage, and we'll take care of this. And then when it dries enough, I will take it off and we'll do a full reveal and show all the hull, and talk a little bit more about painting and what the next steps are for the kit. But we're heading toward the finish line, everyone. We can see it in the sight. So once everything's painted, that's the real hard part with this kit. And then it's just a matter of assembly and getting the wiring squared away and turning her on. Okay, we'll see you in a few seconds. Hey folks, okay, I just wanted to show you the final masking here of the top of the saucer section, which I actually almost forgot to do. So you can see here I've masked off the bridge section and this kind of funny looking shape here, and then the area where we had painted before, and then finally masked off the a ring on the outside. So I just want to bring over, the reason I almost forgot to do this, bring in the original model that I had that I've been kind of referencing excuse me, that I've been referencing as I go along. You know, it looks all nice and everything, but then when I went back and looked at some of the pictures of the ship, and I will throw one up on the screen right now, and there you can see the various levels of painting and different shades. So when I did this one, I think, I did do a little bit here, going back to the, top of the, here I did this bit where these little kind of funny shapes come out, and I think I did it outside, but it's very hard to see it, so I almost overlooked that. So I got this painted here, and what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and do what I did before on the bottom, where I'm going to paint it with the haze gray, which is too dark, and then after that dries, the haze gray, I'll go back over it with a light blue again to give it that same effect that we had down here, where it's various shades of blue, and that should give a nice subtle effect. And then the area here and out here will be the base color, which we're looking at. So it should look really good. And I'm going to go ahead and do that painting now and let it dry overnight. And then tomorrow I'll take this masking off and we'll see what she looks like. And then after that, just a couple more little tiny things to paint, and then we'll do a nice full reveal of all the painting that's been done and get to assembly. So coming toward the home stretch here, everyone, and getting excited to get this all put together and see how she looks. So stick around. We'll be right back.